tell us what we can expect on the show coming up?
Well, I've done so many different. I don't know if you can call them performances, but I did some work for the Saskatchewan Music Authority, um, and also with the not Aboriginal, Alberta Leadership Group here in Alberta. And I guess my performance is gonna. It's not necessarily just me singing and talking about songs. There's an actual story behind the whole session, oh, if you want to call it a session. Um, I think that we need to be able to have every one of us has an opportunity to talk about something that um, we're passionate about, and what our group has been passionate about for the last 2 years is we've been focusing our efforts to create awareness around mental health. And our most recent album that we released is titled Angel Eagle. And I guess I'll tell you a little bit about what Angel Eagle means to us. One of our group members, Conan Yellowbird, had lost his brother to mental health. And it affected him and his family greatly. And he created a song that spoke about eagles, and he had experienced um, a sort of a realization within his own self that he's seen a bunch of eagles when they were laying their brother down into the ground, his brother, and these eagles are flying in formation above the burial site. And it dawned on him, and he said, I think these eagles are angels. And I think they came here to take my brother home. So when his mom asked him to make a song for his late brother, that's what he thought of right away. So he created this song that talks about these angels, these angel eagles that are here for us when we need them. And then we're asking them to hear our drums and to be more prevalent and available for our people, especially with the time we're in now. A lot of people are struggling with mental health relating to the loss of loved ones with COVID-19 and isolating. So our whole album was dedicated to encouraging each and every one of us to be someone's angel eagle. We're challenging the world to be openly comfortable with talking about mental health. And we, on the album cover, we challenged everybody to be someone's angel eagle, even if it's just once in your lifetime. It makes a significant impact on someone's life, even just to say those simple little words of how'd your day go. That could be the difference between having a loved one one day and not having them the next. So that's my whole session. My whole focus is going to be around making that comfortable to talk about.
Wow. Yeah, that's really amazing. And thanks for sharing that. I really want to look into that now and check that album out just by hearing that story. Sounds so amazing, and I can tie that because I have experienced that same thing myself, you know.
Mm-hmm. No, we
Um,
all have, honestly, at different levels. We have, and I think being able to talk about it even now, um, without any feelings of being uneasy or uncomfy, we need to be that way, and we need to be that way in a larger scale, especially for our Indigenous and First Nations people out there. We've faced generations of turmoil, and to be able to heal with the power of words and music, that's the right direction. That's where our elders have always wanted us to go.
yeah, the drum is our that's our way, and
Hmm.
it gives us so much, the healing, especially the healing part, and you guys are just doing an awesome job, um, representing, tribes all across America and everywhere. So thank you for doing that. And the drum has taken you guys so many places. Where are some of the highlights of some of the places that you've been? I know
Um,
you guys
for
were in LA for the Grammy Awards. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Sure, I'll answer the first part of your question there. The most um, memorable place that our drum has taken us to, in my view, point of view, is to traditional powwows in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Manitoba, Ontario, where there's no competition. It's just going out and healing and dancing and singing just for the love of it. Honestly, for me, those are the places where I've actually felt the most connected to our drum and the most connected to our people was in those settings. Um, and the Grammys, wow, that's a that's an experience all on its own. Um, and I think the the best way I could describe the Grammy experience was these people that we put on the pedestal, these pedestals we put them on as musicians and great artists. They are great in all aspects of what they do. They're they're significantly have honed their craft to the point where a lot of people are drawn towards the music, which is which is awesome all in its own. I think what I could take away from the Grammy experience that a lot of people um, I think a lot of people would benefit from is the humility with these artists. No one is walking around there with a big head. Nobody, we're shoulder to shoulder with Shawn Mendes, Backstreet Boys, Ariana Grande's, and they were just regular people. You wouldn't even know that someone standing beside you has a platinum record because of just their demeanor. There was no arrogance on that red carpet at all. And I think it speaks volumes to the music itself, just music in general. I think they do it because they love it, they're passionate about it, and because of the way they're able to amplify their passion for music, that's why people are drawn to it. I think music has a healing characteristic to it that anybody can relate to and anybody can, connect with. So it was um, we at one point we felt really bad because we didn't win. And we felt like, oh, we just let down our people. Like I laugh about it now, but it was a really real feeling at the time. I think there was a picture, I don't know who took the picture, but there was a picture of me and hugging the group, and we just had a cry, and I was talking to them and I just said, you know what, let's not forget about mom and dad, aunties and uncles, brothers and sisters that are so proud of us being here. Yeah, we didn't win, but you know what? We showed up, and when we sang on the red carpet, that was so random. I told my singers to bring their drums with them. Bring your hand drums and your drum bag, and let's take our drums with us, because if it wasn't for that animal sacrifice and we were able to make a sound from that drum, our spiritual traditional instrument, we wouldn't be here. So let's bring them with us. They deserve the right to actually be there with us too. Um, so we brought them to the red carpet, and then it was just a sort of like the usher, I think, was joking, our usher at the red carpet. All of these performers have ushers that kind of walk them through, not perform, but the artists that are on the red carpet. And she jokingly said, "Oh, you brought your hand drums with you. Are you going to sing for us?" And we looked at each other. Sure, we'll sing for you. And then she was kind of taken back. Are you for real? We're like, if you want to. In our traditional indigenous way, when someone's asking for this, even if they're joking about it, there's a spiritual aspect to everything that we do here and everything that's happening here. Maybe we're meant to sing here. We don't know. But because it was relayed through you as that medium, then we have to honor that. So right away, she started radioing everybody else, and we have the perfect spot for you. And okay, sure. We just followed them to the center of the red carpet with the Grammy.com media crew, which is pretty neat because the Grammy.com media crew is every single artist wants to do that interview. And I learned this later is because all of the voting members are watching Grammy.com. So all of these artists that are in, kind of looking to possibly win a Grammy, those are the people to talk to show yourself to. So there was, we were all lined up. I think the Backstreet Boys were just finishing their interview and we were kind of behind them. And then, and then we just said, okay, we're singing, I guess. We sang a couple starts and that place just sort of was in shock, but they showed like it sort of, everybody started cheering. We had like King Brown and everybody pulling out their phones and recording us. And then as soon as we were done, the Backstreet Boys walked back towards our direction and just wanted to show their gratitude for being in that presence of our music. It was pretty cool. And we ended up singing it 2 more times on the red carpet just because people said, hey, we were able to hear it, but can you sing for our cameras? And it's kind of funny because on the red carpet, all of these different media outlets like Billboard magazine or US Weekly and entertainment, whatever that eCanada or well, not eCanada, I think it's Entertainment News USA, and then like Ellen, all these different companies that do this TV and radio stuff. They're all herded off like cattle on one side of the red carpet. There's like little gates they have to stay in. And I thought, well, isn't this different? Well, I guess it's well organized, whatever. So we went and then, we sang a couple more times and it was the reaction to our music on that world stage was still so new to them. But I think it's because we've never had a real representation to that, I guess that window of that, to them. So I think everybody there was didn't know how to react. People cried because they just didn't know. But we know as Indigenous people that music has a universal frequency that talks about the land, the trees, the air, the water, whatever we breathe. So I think for the non-Indigenous, it was sort of like, there's something familiar to this and it's affecting me, but I don't know what it is. So I'm choosing to cry. So it's pretty neat. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It sounds like an amazing experience. Thank you for sharing that amazing story. But yeah, the music is, I think, like our music, our traditional music, our songs, they're beyond the universe, they're like they're spiritual, and you can feel them in your soul, and they're just so powerful. And it doesn't matter what creed you are, what race you are, you just feel it, the native songs. But I just want to say thanks again for sharing that amazing story.
I think for like the non-Indigenous community and people that aren't familiar with our music, they have a hard, well, it's confusing for them because not only is the music connecting to their attack, their spirit, but it's also a connection to the earth,
Mhm.
because that music, our music, was here before any of them were. And the music, it's a reflection of our Mother Earth's heartbeat. It's music that comes from within the spirit of all the animals and all the everything that Mother Earth, that came from her. So because it's like almost having a spiritual connection to the ground they're standing on, that they didn't know was there, or they forgot to remember the spiritual entities of of our our territory, our Turtle Island. So when we sing our music, it's a direct connection to Aski, our earth. So for them, it's like, wow, I don't know what the feeling is. I was like, well, pay attention to those feelings, because your body's probably telling you something that you're not listening to, or or there's a void that needs to be filled, and you have to decipher what that is. But be grateful because the music brought it to your attention. So pretty neat.
Yeah, it's so true too. I'm the lead singer here on the Boys Fort drums, and I just want to invite you anytime you want to come to Boys Fort. Maybe we can set something up in the future to have you guys come to one of our powwows and maybe even co-host or something. That'd be
Oh
so.
yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just let me know.
Yeah. Anyways, how did your music career start, or how did you start singing?
Singing had always been in my family. Excuse me. But it was different singing. My parents were stick game, hand game players. Out here in Alberta and Saskatchewan, the Plains territory, um, we play this game called Kasagatsige, or Sagatsige, which means the it's a game. It's sort of like a game to settle dispute, or it's a game to connect two opposite views or two opposite sides, or even just a game rather than fighting. So, and there's a unique story with that, and it's called hand game or stick game. There's two names to it. Um, and it has to do with how our tribes, the Cree tribes and the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Blackfoot nations, ended the wars between our tribes. And it was through this game. And what had happened was um, there was a battle that happened, and there was a warrior that fell because of wounds, or arrowheads or whatever, being taken down. And in our beliefs in the hills over here, that there's these beings that live within the hills that are spiritual beings. They're called Mimiguisak, and they're like dwarf spiritual people, like half human and half dwarf, but they live in the hills. One of the warriors that fell in that battle, um, he was friends with one of those little people before the battle, and because he got hurt in that battle, that that younger dwarf had pitied his friend that was hurt and brought him into the hill, and that young Mimi Wis, that one, yeah, younger, I don't want to call them dwarfs, but I don't know what the other word is, little person,
Yep.
that younger little person um, had grandparents that he'd resided with. And then so he'd always had this argument with his grandpa, saying, grandpa, he would say, hey, I know a lot about our ways, I know. And he would talk about how powerful of he could doctor, and he's connected to the spiritual world, He was basically, he called himself a medicine man, but his grandson never really believed him. He was like, yeah, right. You don't know, like, he talked to his grandpa that way. So he brought his friend that was injured into that hill and said, hey, um, um, said, Grandpa, you always talk about how powerful you are and how, let's see what you can do. Look at my friend here's hurt. He's dying. Bring him to life or whatever, right? So Grandpa was like, hey, why'd you bring this guy here? No, it's not supposed to be in here. And then he said, okay, I'll tell you what, grandson, we'll play a game. And if you can beat me, I'll fix him. So they played a game of the hand game. So it was a game from the little people. So that sick guy laid there and then they played this game. And sure enough, the young grandson beat his grandpa. And what he didn't notice is as they were playing this game, that warrior started to get healthier. And pretty soon that warrior woke up and he was watching this game. And he sort of freaked out. What's going on? And then that younger grandson's like, hey, I won. And then grandpa said, Gnahape, look down. So he looked down and his friend was healed. And he said, see, that's the power of this game. So then our grandpa told that young warrior, I want you to take this game back over there and you guys stop your fighting. You have something to settle a dispute. You play this game and there'll be healing on both sides and you guys will think clearly to make the right choice. So he took that game and that's what ended the wars between the Crees and the Blackfoots out this way was the stick game. It's a really fun game. I don't know if you've seen on social media, my dog has kind of went TikTok famous there because I was playing stick game with him, a hand game with him.
I saw that on Facebook. And
Yeah, that's
yeah. That was wow, that's a really smart dog.
so yeah, we're playing stick game and it's a guessing game. So he was really trying to guess which hand his treat was in. And I taught him how to kind of like put his, well, actually my daughter taught him how to pick and stuff and how to use his paws to communicate. So it was pretty neat. It was funny, but that's who my family was. When I first started, that's the only singing I knew. That's the only way I knew how. And so when you would go to these hand game tournaments and communities, there was always a powwow that was happening nearby. So I'd go to these powwows and I'd go and listen to the music and I used to think, wow, this is awesome. Like, I want to sing like that, or I want to dance like that. And, I'd disappear from my parents. They were playing hand games or stick games for hours and I'd disappear and I'd come back at nighttime to check in. Where were you? Oh, I was watching powwow and I was dancing in intertribal. So it was always in my family. My late grandpa, Muslim, he was a powwow singer. He sang for Frog Lake Singers, they were called, and they traveled as. So there was always singing in my family, but I think it skipped a generation with all of my grandpa's kids because none of them were powwow singers. And then I'm the one that, well, me and my brothers, my younger brothers, were the ones that kind of said, hey, we're going to bring it back to our community. We're going to bring singing back to our community. So that's how everything started, was just a curious kid, two braids, never had clean braids, messy hair, probably had number 11 snot all the time, running around at powwows and dreaming of being a powwow singer. So that's how everything started. As far as Young Spirit's concerned, like the birth of Young Spirit, my younger brothers, Eric and George, and their friend Skylar Red Star set up at Enoch, Alberta Powwow as Young Spirit, just as a youth drum group. The following weekend, at that time, I was singing with Blackstone, and the weekend after Blackstone and then went to Kainai, I stayed back and went to Samson, Alberta Powwow in 2001 because at that time I was with my ex-wife, and that's where we wanted to take our kids to go dance instead of making the big trip down south. And then my brother showed up with the drum, and they said, Jacob, let's set up. Okay. Well, what name are we going to use? Like, anybody get a drum number? They're going to go register, and no, you'll do that. And I'm like, so I'm going to run this group? And they're like, yeah. It's like, okay. What are we called? I'll go register. We'll use Young Spirit. It's like, where'd that come from? Oh, we set up last weekend. We sang one song at Enoch, and we called ourselves Young Spirit. I was like, well, I guess I am sort of young. I do have a spirit for singing. So yeah, let's do it. So I went and registered, and our drum contest didn't start till Saturday. So I just kept slowly by slowly, a lot of my friends started to show up at the powwow. And then they were like, hey, are you singing with anybody? It's like, actually, we set up our own drum. Well, can we sing with you? And it was just sort of, we just sat. And then Saturday, grand entry, the MC was like, okay, for those of you that set up last night, because over here in Friday night, there's no contest. It's just sort of like a warm up. And then Saturday, contest starts, and they started announcing, is any drums competing? Who's all competing here? And then I looked at my friends, should we compete? Sure. And in our minds, when we compete, we sing our own songs. But we didn't have any songs. We were just a pickup group. And then we said, well, we'll just sing some Blackstone songs, some Northern Creek. We're singing songs of drum groups that weren't there. We'll just try it out. So we did. We ended up taking first in that drum contest, and that was it. We stuck together, and we just kept our group together. I think in about 2003 or 2004, we were down to just 5 of us, and we weren't no good. We never won. But me and my brothers, and yeah, just me and my brothers, we kept with it, kept making our own music, kept with it. We had maybe a rough patch of maybe 6 years where we didn't compete, or if we did, we never placed. So, and then I don't know, then just overnight, it was sort of like we started to, I guess, gain trust from other fellow singers and trying to make a crew together. And yeah, so it was nothing really predetermined or planned. It just sort of happened on its own.
Yeah. My uncle always said, once you start living your culture and start being around the drums, singing, dancing, he said all these good things are going to start happening to you, and I saw that in my life, and I can definitely see that's what happened to you as well. As the native ways is powerful ways, and it's there's so much help, from I think it's spiritual help.
Yeah.
If you live that way, the native way, then all these good things and these good way of living, we call it Anishinaabe Bamadazi, when the good Indian life will happen. I totally believe it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, where can we find your music, and where can we find you? I know there's you guys are blowing up on YouTube. Like a lot of your videos are going viral. So besides YouTube, where else can we find you?
I think if you we have a website. Our drum group made a business called Young Spirit Supplies. And I remember when we first started Young Spirit Supplies, there was just a few of us, our members, like not the whole crew, because everybody else had their own day jobs or whatever. But when I first started this, there was a unique, about maybe 3 or 4 of us that actually tried to make a business. And it was mainly just merchandise, right? It was mainly things like our t-shirts or hats, things like that. And then I started to expand that. Hey, you know what? I used to work for a company that was a chemical manufacturer, and I did sales for a while. And they're like, okay, well, what can we do? I was like, well, let's buy some inventory. The guys are like, I don't understand it. I'm just gonna go back to work. So I was left alone to kind of do what I wanted to do. And then it was unique, a unique time starting your own business, because it was prior to COVID-19, and there wasn't really opportunity as far as for what my business was trying to do, because there's a lot of other established businesses that did what I was trying to do. So there's a lot of competition. So there was no room for profit. Sometimes to make a deal happen, you sell things below your cost, but make your margin up elsewhere. uh, so I started this whole venture, and so I created a website called youngspiritssupplies.com. And on that website, we sell CDs, merchandise. We also do promotional product distribution too. So we're listed as one of those Canadian companies that are we purchase things for the purpose of uh, reproducing. Like, let's say if you wanted to create a clothing brand, or not a brand. Let's see. Let's say you wanted to create a line of golf shirts, and you wanted to use strictly Callaway material. In order to do that, you would have to buy those Callaway shirts from a company that is listed as a distributor for Callaway. And as so long as you're putting on another logo on that shirt, and it's not just being sold as a Callaway shirt, then you can pick any item in their lineup and put your logo on it. So that's the promotional product distribution company that we have. So we're listed as one of Canada's distributors for, Gildan, for ATC, for Callaway, for the True North. There's several different clothing lines, Dry Frame. Recently, I think it was the biggest one was Under Armour. So we could take those things and put, Frog Lake Powwow on it and sell them. So, but because we're listed in that the list of companies like that, we get them at better pricing, and so that's why we can transfer that pricing on to you. So whatever you would pay for a Callaway golf shirt, you'd actually pay cheaper for it from us, and it would have your logo on it. So it's pretty unique, different. It's a unique opportunity for our company. That itself is it keeps my girlfriend and my daughter very busy, because they're constantly running the direct to garment printer we have downstairs, and silk screening machinery. So it's in our basement actually. So that's that's an everyday thing. So yeah, anybody wants to find out about our music, we're on every single streaming platform: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, YouTube Music. And if you actually want compact discs, we have them too. We have inventory for them, and we ship out of our home. But yeah, I could probably talk for hours as far as what my business does.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a busy man, and I'm looking forward to the performance this Saturday and hearing more of your stories, more of your music. And everybody can check that out here, Facebook Live. Thanks to our sponsors again, KBFT and the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Thank you, Jacob Fair Faithful from Young Spirit, for chatting with us today. And man, I hope we can meet up again in the future down in the Powwow Trail somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see it happening soon, so I'm looking forward to it. People need to get out there and get vaccinated and let's get the powers happening again.
All right, Jacob. We'll see you this weekend. Gigo Avamin.
Hey, hey, what's this?